My name is Michelle. I am an advisor at Students Rising Above, and today's webinar will be about how to create a balanced college list. So I'm sure all of you guys are, gearing up for senior year, making that college list, deciding where to go, and hopefully this webinar will help. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. You guys should see it right now. So these are different things you guys have to do and consider in order to not only build your college list, but one that is balanced. So what is a balanced college list? Is, of course, a list of colleges you want to apply to, but also an even number of, or even mix of reach schools, target schools, and safety schools. And we'll go over that a little later. But that's what makes a college or balanced college list. Reach, target, safety schools. And why is it important to have a balanced college list? The reason why is so that you can increase your chances of getting into a college, and that way you have more options. For example, if you have all reach schools, so schools that are really hard for you to reach, or maybe outside of your student profile, you're not going to have a lot of options. So the more balanced it is, the more options you'll have. It'll guarantee that you will have at least one college you want to go to. And because schools have different financial aid packages, it's really important to have a list of different variety of schools. So how do you create a balanced college list? There's about 3 things that you have to do. The first thing is you should know your student profile. So what does that consist of? It consists of your grades. So, what that means is not only your grades and GPA, but, depending on the college that you're attending, your GPA might be, all the schools that, your GPA might be, your grades from all throughout high school. Or if you're applying to the UCs or CSUs, they only look at your grades from 10th through 12th grade when they're calculating your GPA. You still have to put all your classes and grades for the application, but when it comes to the GPA, the UCs and CSUs only look at 10th through 12th grade. So you want to know what that GPA is, and that's something you can ask your counselor to help you with, your SRA advisor, because that's important to know. And you want to know what your SAT or ACT scores are, as well as your activities and awards, which is basically, your extracurricular activities. Are you in a sport? Do you do community service? Are you in student government? Do you have a job? Do you have family responsibilities? Awards include, like, were you a National Merit Scholar? Were you the MVP of your team? Did you win an award at some kind of science or robotics competition? These are things that you want to keep in mind. And of course, your student profile includes your story. So that's what makes you the most unique. It's just your personal story of what you've been through in your life, how you've gotten to where you are today. So those are what make up your student profile. And step 2 is, think about what you're looking for in a school. So you want to think about location. Do you want to go somewhere far away from home? Do you care if it's going to be snowy or hot? Do you want to be, like me, I grew up in San Francisco with, city life, and that's what I'm used to, and that's what I wanted for college. For some of my friends, they want to get out of the city, maybe somewhere more suburban where life was a little slower. So think about what you look for. Think about the type of school. So do you want to go to a big public school or a small private school? Do you care if the school has a lot of school spirit? If they have sports and games? So a lot of schools have study abroad programs, but if that's something you're really interested in, or you want to, for sure you want to travel to a specific country, look into whether or not the college has like a program or a study abroad program that's, in that country. Or if you're interested in joining a sorority or fraternity, make sure the school has that, because not all schools do. And I think one of the most important things you have to consider is financial aid. So something you guys can all use is the net price calculator that every school has on their website. And that basically will, you just input your income, family information, and it'll kind of give you an estimate of how much it'll cost to go to that college. So that's something you want to do with every school that you're interested in, every school that you add to your list or thinking about adding to your list. Because, you don't want to end up having a college list with all these schools that are going to be way out of your budget. That's not a balanced list. You want to make sure you look into that. And of course, research. So you want to make sure you meet the academic requirements. So when you're thinking about your school profile, your student profile, it includes your GPA. So let's say your GPA is, 3.2. In some schools, you need at least a 3.0 to apply, like the UC. For the CSUs, you just need a 2.0. So, with my GPA of a 3.2, I meet the academic requirements there. Sometimes they require you to take, or they like to see you take certain classes. So those are all things you want to look into. And you want to think about, is the college a good fit for you academically and personally? So can you imagine, being there for 4 years and being excited to be there for 4 years? Do you feel like, the pace of the workload or, the student population there, do you see yourself there? Do you care about diversity? If you do, you want to look into whether or not the school is diverse. And of course, you want to look into whether or not you can afford it. Because, in the end, college is a business decision, which I'm sure you've heard from your SRA advisors. You want to be able to afford it, or at least know that they have good financial aid packages. All right, so let's say you have a list of all the colleges that you're interested in. You're like, okay, I see myself here. I'm excited. They have the programs that I want. In terms of my school profile, it looks like a good fit. Now you have to take that list of colleges and see if they are safety schools, target schools, and reach, and whether or not you have a good balance in your list. So in general, I recommend students have about 12 colleges on their list. 4 might be a little, not enough variety, and 30 is just a lot of schools to be applying to. Because if you think about it, not only are you guys starting senior year and you have all that homework and all the clubs that you guys are involved in, but you have to, apply to all these schools, write the essays for all these schools, write the supplement essays for all these schools. So that's why, in my opinion, 30 might be a bit much. Everyone's a little different, but I think 12 is a good number to kind of aim for. So let's say my student profile is a 3.3. So I have a 3.3 GPA and I got a 20 on the ACT. So a safety school is where your student profile, so like your GPA and ACT, exceeds the school average or criteria. So if we look at CSU East Bay here, this is, it tells you the GPA of students who are going in as freshmen. And you'll see that my GPA is somewhere around here. And you'll see that, okay, I think my GPA is, higher than most students at the school. So I'm looking pretty good in terms of GPA. And when I look at my ACT scores on the higher end of the average. So I'm like, yes, that's a safety school. My chances of getting in are a little higher. In terms of target, your student profile meets the criteria. So if we use the same example where my GPA is 3.3 and my ACT score is a 20, you'll see I'm right in the middle in terms of GPA. And for my ACT, I'm within the average. So that's right on target. And a reach school is where your student profile falls below the criteria. So you'll see here, my GPA is right here, and most students they have a higher GPA than I do. And right here, their ACT score is higher than mine. So that would be considered a reach because most students who are going into the school have a higher ACT score and GPA. So that's a really good way of, getting a sense of whether a school is a safety, target, or reach. And you want to be realistic. There are some schools that are just reaches for everybody, no matter what your GPA is. I'm not saying don't put these schools on your list. Just make sure not, when you're doing your research and you realize all the schools on your list have something like this, and they're all very high reach, then that's not a very balanced list. And you want to talk to your advisor or one of us about for suggestions. So you'll see here, my GPA is in the bottom 3%, and my ACT score is also way below the average. But let's say Harvard, I think this is Harvard. Harvard has a program that I want, and maybe I'm very involved in extracurriculars and whatnot. It's okay to apply to your dream school if it's your number one dream school, but just make sure you're realistic and not to have too many of these super reach schools on your list. So these are some tips that I have. So once you guys have a list of colleges that you guys want to apply to, make sure to have it checked by your counselor or your SRA advisor. If you're not an SRA, you can always reach out to us on the Hub, and we'll be happy to look at it for you, give you feedback as well as suggestions. Don't limit yourself. So, because if you're in California, a lot of students in California want to stay in California, but don't limit yourself. Consider schools that are outside of California, on the East Coast. Consider private schools. A lot of them have better financial aid than, the UCs and CSUs. Visit campuses. So some of you guys might have heard of fly-in programs, but they're basically free or almost all expense paid trips to a college where you get to spend a couple of days in the dorms, take a class, talk with current students. It's really the best way to get a feel for whether or not you'll be happy at the school. So visit the campus. You can go to the ones that are more local, whether or not you want to go to that school. So let's say for me, I live near SF State. Maybe I'm not interested in SF State, but I would recommend that I would still go on campus and see what it looks like to get a sense of what I do like and don't like at a school. Sometimes you never know. A lot of schools or districts might have college fairs, especially in the fall, so check those out. That's where you get to meet with admissions officers and ask them questions and get brochures. So do that. If you're thinking about private schools, you want to make sure you sign up for more information on their website, write any thank you notes. Maybe you met one of them at a career or a college fair. Write them a thank you note, show your interest, and attend local receptions. So if you're an SRA student, that's something that might be available to you or will be available to you. So keep an eye out for those and take advantage of interview opportunities. So a lot of colleges, especially private schools, have something called interviews where, you get to learn more about the school, and the school admissions officer or alum gets to learn more about you, and that looks good because that demonstrates your interest. And for a lot of private schools, especially the small ones, they keep tabs on how many ways you've shown interest. And interviews are one way. Signing up for more information on the website is another. So remember to use College Board. That's what I use to see where my GPA fell and the ACT score fell. So that's College Board Big Future, and that's where you can check whether or not a school is a target, safety, or reach for you. You guys can always email us if you guys have any questions. We also have a lot of resources on the Hub. So I want to show you one. So this is the Hub. You guys have all seen it. I want to show you guys the under websites to check out. You guys can click on college application trackers. And on this tracker, it's already pre-made. You can make a copy of this. This is where you can keep all the information that you research. And the second tab make sure it helps you keep track of whether a school is a match, safety, or reach. Sometimes match is also called target. It's like interchangeable. So when you hear target school, sometimes they call it match school, sometimes they call it target. So yeah, you can use this. It's all on the hub. Let's see if we have any questions while I launch our second poll. Any questions? Feel free to type it into the chat box. It's anonymous, so I'm not going to say your name if you have a question. No questions? Okay, that's okay. If you think of a question later on, you can email me or email us on the hub. If you want us to look at your list, we'll be happy to do that too. Awesome. Okay. Thanks. Oh, we have a question. How do you know when a school is good for you? That's a really great question, actually. So you know a school is good for you if you look at, one, does it have maybe the majors that you're interested in? Is it in a location that you're interested in spending the next 4 to 5 years of your life? Is it, a good match in terms of, academics? So basically, is it a target school, safety school? Yeah. Any other questions? And I would also recommend visiting the campus. Like, that's what really made a difference for me. Like, my dream school all throughout college didn't end up being my dream school once I stepped on campus. So sometimes that'll give you a good feel for it. You could also ask current students what their experience is like. If basically a school is a good school if it has what you're looking for. So just, there might not be that perfect college, but, just know that that's okay. It doesn't have to be that perfect college for you to attend. Just look for schools that have the majority of what you're looking for. All right, so number one, how many colleges should you apply to? I would say around 12. Good job, everybody. And what are the 3 parts of a balanced college list? It's reach, target, and safety. So awesome job. All right, thanks, guys. Feel free to email me. Sorry, we have one more question. What? Oh, yeah. So what if you don't know what you want to do or major in? How do you decide? We get that question like 100 million times every year in the fall. My recommendation is it's okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do. I think most of you guys kind of have an idea of some things you might want to do, like a couple things. Maybe you're not sure of that one major, but you want to do something in science, maybe biology, chemistry, but you're not really sure. Or maybe you want to do chemistry and business and psych, but you're not really sure which one. So I would look at a school that has majors, like as many majors as that you're interested in. So for example, if I'm interested in business, psych, and biology, I would look for schools that have all 3. So as I'm taking classes during my freshman year, the more classes you take, the more usually, you can narrow in on what you want to major in. And then that way you're at a school that already has all the different majors that you guys can choose from. And if you don't know, like you just have no idea, that's something you guys can talk to us about. We have like a career exploration tool on the hub that maybe you guys might find helpful. It's like a personality quiz where you just basically say what you like and don't like to do, and it'll spit out all these different careers that are a good fit for your strengths and interests. So maybe that's a good place to start. And if you're not sure what you're majoring in, it's okay. A lot of people don't. You can look into other things like the location, programs, diversity, stuff like that. All right. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys have a great night. feel free to ask us questions, and we're here for you. It might be a stressful semester, but you're not alone. And thanks for watching the webinar. Bye, guys.